In the world of sports, the spotlight doesn't always shine only for broken records or won medals. Sometimes, the most talked about moments in the trajectories of great athletes arise from unexpected, controversial, or unusual episodes. From surprising decisions on the field to controversial actions off it, these events make history, and that's exactly what we're going to see here today. We know that rugby is a sport of intense contact and strength among athletes. Because of this, they often end up colliding and getting entangled in the fight for the ball. During a women's match between the national teams of the United States and England, a play caught attention, while the athletes of the American team surrounded the opponent who had the ball to try to prevent her passage. A constraining and unusual situation occurred. The athlete ended up having her shorts pulled down, becoming semi-nude in front of everyone in the stadium or watching the broadcast of the match. As can be seen, she is initially grabbed but continues in the dispute until her shorts are pulled and she falls. The shorts come down, showing her underwear and leaving her completely exposed in an embarrassing scene that went viral around the world. The accident of Jessica Dubé, which occurred in 2007, is one of the most frightening moments in the history of figure skating. Jessica Dubé, a Canadian pair skater, was competing in the Four Continents Championship in Colorado Springs alongside her longtime partner Bryce Davison. During the performance, while executing a synchronized spin movement with one leg elevated, a coordination error caused Davison's skate blade to accidentally cut Dubé's face. The cut was deep, reaching her nose, cheek, and chin. She was immediately taken to the hospital, where she received more than 80 stitches on her face, in a moment that shocked the audience and those watching the broadcast. Despite the severity of the accident, Dubé physically recovered and returned to compete months later, showing admirable persistence and courage. A controversy involving Ingrid Oliveira, a diving athlete, and Pedro Gonçalves, a canoeing athlete, during the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, generated a lot of media repercussion. According to reports at the time, the story emerged after Ingrid had supposedly asked her roommate, Giovanna Pedroso, to leave the lodging they shared so she could spend the night with Pedro Gonçalves. This episode generated great repercussion, not only because of the situation itself, but also because it happened shortly before Ingrid's competition at the Olympics. Her partner in synchronized diving, Giovanna Pedroso, was dissatisfied with the occurrence, which apparently harmed the relationship between the two. The tense atmosphere between them was pointed out as one of the factors that influenced the duo's below-expected performance, as they finished in last place in their event.
Assim, eu não conseguia treinar direito depois que publicaram no jornal a história.
After the episode, Ingrid Oliveira received many criticisms, especially on social media, where her personal life was widely exposed. In later interviews, she recounted the trauma she lived, mainly because of the media that, according to her, exaggerated and distorted the true story to gain more visibility.
Pra mim eram comentários horríveis, gente no direct, perguntando se eu fazia programa, me oferecendo dinheiro, esse tipo de coisa.
In statements, she said that Pedro really had gone to her room, but that she didn't expel anyone from there and that he didn't spend the night with her. The athlete also revealed that relationships in the Olympic Village, the place where athletes stay, are quite common, and that the situation did not occur a day before her event, as was said. Despite her statements and justifications, many people continued criticizing, but she overcame it and continued competing. In 2018, Santos, goalkeeper of Atlético Paranaense, starred in an unusual moment by using his cell phone right on the playing field. The episode happened during a match of the Brazilian Championship, when he was seen picking up his cell phone that was wrapped in a towel behind the goal. The game was ongoing when Santos grabbed the phone and started using it on the field, taking his attention completely away from the match. The act generated immediate speculations, and many wondered what motivated the goalkeeper to use his cell phone on the field, something extremely rare and generally prohibited by sports regulations. Fans of his own club, others, and the media questioned the goalkeeper's attitude, even calling it irresponsible. However, later, it was revealed that the act was part of an advertising campaign by Uber, aiming to promote the ride-sharing service and raise awareness among drivers about using cell phones while driving. Just as the goalkeeper had his attention taken away from the game when using the cell phone, the same happened with drivers at the wheel. The marketing action, although creative, generated criticisms, as some considered that the football field was not the appropriate place for this type of commercial action, especially during a competition. However, others highly praised the company's creativity, which managed to draw the world's attention with the action. Shawnee Miller-Uibo, a sprinter from the Bahamas, starred in a dramatic and memorable moment at the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. During the women's 400 meters final, Shawnee was competing against the American Allison Felix, who was one of the favorites to win the race. In the final meters, with the victory still undefined, Shawnee literally launched herself towards the finish line. She made a bold dive and threw herself over the finish line, falling chest first to the ground to surpass Felix by a minimal difference. This unusual maneuver secured her the gold medal with a time of 49.44 seconds, while Felix arrived just 0.07 seconds later, taking the silver. Miller-Uibo's dive generated much discussion, with many questioning whether the action was legal. However, according to athletics rules, victory is determined by the torso of the body crossing the finish line, and the way this happens is not regulated, meaning the dive was perfectly valid. The player and captain of Santos, Diego Pituca, experienced a curious scene in Santos's 3-2 victory over Mirassol in the Brazilian Serie B Championship. At 44 minutes of the second half, the referee showed a straight red card to the midfielder. In his assessment, the player had assaulted Lucas Ramon before Mirassol's corner kick. Pituca contested the decision a lot, but ended up handing over the captain's armband and headed to the locker room. However, the VAR recommended that the referee review the play. While the referee went to the video, a member of the technical committee ran to the locker room to call Pituca back, awaiting the decision. The number 21 returned to the field in time to see the referee's decision, to withdraw the red card and apply the yellow card. However, Pituca had already been warned minutes before for complaining, so the new yellow became another sending off. In other words, he was sent off just the same. The curious situation with the player being sent off twice quickly became world news. The referee needed to do this because even if the player would be sent off anyway, there is a difference between being sent off directly and for a second yellow, and therefore the rule needs to be correct. Anyway, the fact is curious and even funny after all. The player returns to the field with the expectation of being able to play again, but finds himself sent off once more. Alicia Newman is a Canadian pole vaulter widely recognized for her beauty, sensuality, and talent, who experienced some controversy due to a celebration in a championship mixed with some personal life choices. Besides her athletic success with several achievements, Alicia Newman is often mentioned as one of the most beautiful athletes in the world, attracting media attention and fans worldwide. Once, in a competition she was participating in, the athlete, very satisfied with the result, celebrated with a somewhat daring dance, which generated some discomfort in some people who made a point of criticizing Alicia, saying that it was not an appropriate celebration, especially in a family environment. Everything intensified due to the fact that the athlete has a page on OnlyFans, where she charges a monthly fee to provide some exclusive content, if you know what I mean. Taking advantage of her beauty and the many requests from fans to open a page on the site, Alicia saw a great opportunity to generate a nice extra income and thus launched her page, which quickly filled with subscribers. But of course, it would also cause much controversy, and she was probably already aware of that. During a pole vault competition, Slovenian athlete Jerneja Ritzel generated a big buzz and left the public perplexed due to some controversies involving her sports uniform. While preparing for the jump, she, without realizing it, ended up revealing more than she would have liked, which was broadcast live to thousands of viewers and quickly went viral on social media. Despite the embarrassment, Jerneja remained focused and performed her jump perfectly, receiving many applause from the audience. However, the incident was already recorded by the cameras and soon became a topic among sports fans and journalists, who didn't waste time commenting on the situation. Although Jerneja showed all her talent as an athlete, this episode serves as a reminder that, in the world of sports, sometimes unexpected aspects draw more attention than the performances themselves. Player goes after referee. In 2022, midfielder Jean Carlos, the main player of Náutico, went towards referee Deborah Cecilia after being sent off due to an elbow on an opponent at 22 minutes of the first half of the Pernambuco State Championship final against Retro at Arena Pernambuco in Brazil. The play that led to the expulsion occurred at 19 minutes. Annoyed with the individual marking of the opposing player Yuri Bigode, who was chasing him during a Náutico attack, the number 10 threw his arm back, hitting the opponent. The play happened without ball dispute, and the play continued, as the retro player remained down, the referee stopped the play and then was called by the VAR to review it. The review took about 3 minutes. The referee then returned to the field and expelled the midfielder. Unconformed with the red card, the athlete went towards the referee and had to be held back by teammates and also by retro players. Not satisfied with his attitude on the field and completely out of control, he even hit a door that gives access to the pitch. Due to all the repercussion, later the player apologized, admitting that he lost his head, but that at no time did he intend to assault the referee. The second day of the Judo Grand Slam disputes in 2019 was marked by a somewhat unusual situation. Portuguese judoka Henri Egutidze, then 23 years old, was making his debut in the competition against Swedish Robin Pacek when he realized he had forgotten his cell phone inside his GI, and on the opponent's first move, the device ended up falling out. After the device falls from the Portuguese's GI, the Swede picks up the device and shows it to the fight's referee. Then he hands it back to his rival and he throws the cell phone out of the combat area. When he realizes he will be penalized, the judoka puts his hands on his head, unable to believe the mistake he had made. As athletes are not allowed to fight with any external object, the judoka was punished with hansoku make, the name given to a serious penalty committed by the athlete, and thus, consequently, he was eliminated from the fight, which lasted only 13 seconds. Daniela Hemsley, an influencer competing in influencer boxing, a phenomenon where internet personalities face off in boxing matches, caused a great stir in July 2023 by exposing her breasts live during a broadcast. The incident occurred after a fight at the Kingpin boxing event in Dublin, Ireland. Daniela Hemsley had just defeated her opponent by judge's decision and, in a moment of euphoria, lifted her shirt and showed her breasts to the camera live. The scene was broadcast to thousands of viewers around the world, generating an immediate and intense reaction on social media and in the media. Hemsley's gesture provoked mixed reactions. Some applauded her attitude, seeing it as an expression of celebration and personal freedom, while others criticized the act as inappropriate, especially in a sports event broadcast live. The event's organization, Kingpin Boxing, was also the target of criticism, and as a consequence, the influencer was excluded from future events of the same organization. After the incident, Daniela Hemsley spoke out, apologizing for what happened. She explained that the gesture was a moment of euphoria and that she had no intention of offending anyone, mentioning that it was a spontaneous celebration without prior planning. Panamanian athlete Rolanda Bell starred in a curious scene during the 3,000-meter steeplechase qualifiers at the Athletics World Championship in Beijing, China in the year 2015. Eliminated in the first qualifying round, the athlete had an impressive fall during the race when she fell headfirst into a water pit that was part of the obstacles. The athlete finished the race with a very high time, which left her out of medal contention. The moment of the fall was recorded from various angles, with impressive photos that went around the world, showing the athlete diving headfirst into the water as if she were taking a plunge. In a statement, she revealed being very disappointed because she had never fallen before and said she didn't know if she was nervous. After all, she jumped with her feet out of position, and that's why the fall happened. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.